Let's bring in Stacy Rasgon of Bernstein Research to discuss. Stacy, stock's shooting higher. It's up about 9-10% right now. It was already trading at a record. We got a beat and raise here, driven largely by AI, but also commentary about the strength of VMware. Your take?
Yeah, look, it looks really solid, right? And this is for a stock that's had a good run. But as Christina said, a nice solid beat and raise. They took up the margin guidance as well as the revenue guidance for the year. The AI numbers look really good. They said $3.1 billion in the quarter. Their prior guidance for the full year was $10 billion. So they're already on a run rate that suggests we're going to have upside to that number. Like the stock split, I think, is the icing on the cake. All the cool kids are doing that now. Looks really solid. Looks really solid.
Okay. I mean, we can talk about the core legacy business, but it doesn't seem to be the thing that's propelling this name, especially as AI takes up more of the revenue pie overall. I guess, is that really where investors need to be focused? Is that really what's going to drive the story for Broadcom?
Well, yes and no. So clearly the AI piece is driving the growth here. The core business is probably not that great. So we'll see if they'll give us some more commentary on the call. But last quarter, they had already implicitly guided the core business, so like storage and broadband and the non-AI networking. They'd already guided that down probably close to 30% year over year last quarter. That means two things. One is they've kind of reset it, and I'm not getting any impression here that it's getting worse. So it looks like they've hopefully bottomed that. It sets up the comparison to next year easier because they've already guided on this year. You should be able to grow it next year. And their AI business has been strong enough to bridge the gap. So even last quarter, they didn't have to take numbers down. There's a lot of companies out there right now that have AI narratives. Most of them have still been seeing issues with their overall businesses. Numbers have been coming down because the AI piece wasn't big enough to cover it. For Broadcom, the AI has been more than enough to cover any of that weakness. And like I said, it doesn't look like that weakness is getting worse. So I think things should look pretty good as we get into the back half and into next year.
Well, certainly AI is the focus, Stacy, but there's also this VMware piece that's now a part of Broadcom. And I've been hearing some, I don't want to call them concerns, because really competitors like Nutanix are licking their chops, thinking that they could take some share and will continue to take share from VMware. Are we seeing evidence in these numbers, in these results, that VMware is able to hold its own under Broadcom?
I think it's absolutely holding its own. And some of those other competitors, by the way, have been making some comments during conference season recently to suggest it's not quite as easy to take share as maybe they thought it might have been otherwise. But no, I think VMware here looks really good. Actually, the software numbers came in really strong in the quarter. And, you know, it's funny, if you sort of run the math out, they've given guidance last year for the full year for VMware. We'll see if they update that this quarter. But they'd said something like $12 billion for the full year and growing double digits sequentially as you go through the year 3 months ago. If you run that math out, they'd be doing probably close to $4 billion in VMware exiting the year, which would put it at $16 billion next year, even if they didn't grow it at all. And I suspect they think they can grow it more than that. And if you sort of look at least where the consensus numbers have been for VMware next year, I don't think they've even been at $16 billion. So I actually do expect that there's upside, that the street will begin to see upside in the numbers for VMware, especially as we get into next year. And maybe we're already seeing it. Like I said, the software number was pretty strong.